Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's Try This at Work. We actually have the first in what is going to be a three-part app series, and today we're going to be talking about apps for knowledge workers. Before I get into our introduction for our amazing guest speaker today, I do have a few housekeeping items to cover. So Try This at Work. Your privacy is very important to us. We do not in any way, shape, or form leverage your data in any way, even if you're authenticated through Office 365. And we might happen to have your email. Again, we just want you to know that, again, we are not leveraging it in any way. These events will continue to remain public and hopefully valuable for all of you. With that, I don't want to take up much time because we have an action-packed session here. I am so honored and privileged to be introducing our Try This at Work guest today, Stuart Ridout. He is actually a public sector customer success manager in the UK, and he is also one of our platform rangers. So he is our platform SME, hence why he is on with us today to talk about apps for knowledge workers. He has so much amazing information to share with us today. Like I said, it's very action-packed, so please submit your questions throughout the event in your Q&A box. And with that, I'm not going to take up any more time so Stuart can get started. So Stuart, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Hello, everybody. It's really great to be with you. As Kelly says, my name's Stuart Ridout. I am a modern work customer success manager here in the UK at Microsoft, and I work with our public sector customers, such as our Justice. We work with Justice. I work with some of our environment public sector customers to do with transport and to do with kind of business and how the government responds to business there. But as Kelly said, my real passion here is around Teams as a platform and how we can use Teams as a platform. So, if you've been like lots of my customers, you've been on a journey where you might have had to deploy Teams a little quicker than expected due to the coronavirus, or this just might have been your natural path and where you were going with the Skype for Business and online end of life in the next few months. But Teams is more than chat and meetings, and that's where we want to really kind of make sure that we're hitting home this message, because to be honest, you can chat in Skype, you can chat in Teams. Yes, it's persistent, and you can share files, and it's much nicer. You can bring people into those conversations, and you don't have to go out to your mailbox to go and find the old conversations. So it's much nicer, but it's still chat. And again, the same with meetings. Meetings, they're fantastic in Teams. They're beautiful. They're great, high quality. We've got some really exciting stuff coming in with the extensibility. They're much more accessible because obviously we've got all of the captions and all of these things here. We've got the fantastic together mode, and all of my customers say how much higher quality their meetings are, but they're still meetings that they could have done previously in Skype Business Online. And I think where it gets really exciting using Teams is how we can make it the hub for teamwork, which is what we call it. And so here on this graph, this is kind of our maturity curve for how people adopt Teams and really kind of leverage the value from the platform. So here is where most people start, which is the basics, chat and meetings that we're talking about. And as we move up to the curve, then we can start to see we're bringing some of the familiar apps we've already got. So if you're already using Word, then you might be using Word within Teams. If you're already using Planner, then you might use Planner in Teams. So the things that we've already got, but here. But where it gets really exciting is where we can say, actually, how can we automate stuff? How can we post messages through? How can we keep people within the Teams canvas where they're working all the time, and if an approval comes in, that it just comes into their chat, they can approve it and then carry on without having that jarring break in their attention. And then finally here, how can we bring these homegrown line of business applications, whether that's developed, whether they're web-based applications or whether they're using a low-code platform such as Power Apps. This is where we start to see the real innovation in the way that people use Teams as a platform. So here we can kind of see that we're starting off with that communicate. So, most people, they start their journeys around communication, then using those tools that we all know, Word Online, Excel Online, PowerPoint Online, etc., to be able to collaborate together. but then here pulling in other apps to really achieve more and kind of dial that up. And for apps, when I look at apps, I look at it in 3 different lenses. So we've got our Microsoft apps, so things that you might already be aware of. So they might be things that you might have had previously, such as OneNote, which was held in your OneDrive or SharePoint or wherever, or using Planner, or the new lists functionality that's available within Teams, or Stream to host those videos and showcase those. So we could have Microsoft apps. We could have third-party apps. So that might be ServiceNow or Workday or Jira or Trello, apps that you're already using that people love, they know and love, but you just want to bring them in to Teams so they can be more efficient where they're working. And then here, finally, building your own. So whether these are Azure-based apps or whether they're Power Apps or using Power Automate to kind of get those rich interactions, that's where it all gets really exciting. So let's have a look at some of those. So I'm going to start off with these third-party apps here. So there are lots and lots of apps here, and the thing is, you might not even know that they exist, because depending on your organization's permissions, you might see that they aren't switched off. But when you go to Teams here and you go to apps, then you will get access to the app catalog here. And you can see here that there are ones which have been built for your organization. We've got ones that are new here. And then underneath here, we've got all of the other apps. So if you're not seeing these, then it probably means that those apps have been switched off. So if you're a business decision maker who's saying, well, actually, I'm already using Adobe, I'm using Adobe Sign to do signatures, is there an integration? Then that's the start of a conversation you need to have with your IT department, because there is actually a fantastic Adobe Sign integration there that allows people to kind of send documents out for signatures, be able to track those back through and keep all of that workflow in Teams. Okay, but a couple of the ones that I just want to showcase today is one which is Workday. So Workday is an incredibly popular HR app. And you can see here that it is added into my Teams. It's here on the left-hand side. So we can do things like view my time off balance, or I can use Workday to take time off, or give feedback to people, look up a coworker, and things like this. So if you think about this as an information worker who's super busy and they kind of go, I just need to know how much time off I've still got to go, then they can just go to that Workday app, just click the button and do that. And if we click more, we can see that there are lots and lots of other things that they can do. So you can, if you've had an interview, you can get interview feedback. You can give feedback yourself, or do expenses. So if we click here, expenses, then you'd be able to upload a photo of your receipt and go with it from there. So really, you can see there that you're not having to jump off to another system, log in, go through all of that rigmarole just to do those quick tasks that you want. Okay, another example we've got here is a bot, and this is called the accessibility bot. So I'm sure, like you, like us, accessibility is super important to you, and making sure that everybody is able to maximize their use of the tools by knowing that the accessibility accommodations are there, and quite often people don't. So we've seen great success in the UK installing the accessibility bot onto this left-hand bar here, so that people can ask questions. So they can kind of go, do you know what, I can't quite see things as well as I'd like, or I can't quite hear things as well as I like. So I can show me the main menu. Okay, and it's just going to present me some of the options here. So we've got things about hearing, about mental health and well-being, neurodiversity, mobility, etc. So let's say that I'm going to say vision. So you can see that I wear glasses. And oops, there we go. And I want to know about vision for the Office 365 productivity tools. Okay, and you can see here there's lots and lots of prompts here for things that you might not even know exist. So You might say, well, actually, do you know what? I get really tired reading my emails. How would I have my emails read aloud? Or how can I read the content of Office apps? Or how can I see better in low light conditions, etc.? So you can see that, and this app is absolutely free. So if you have any interest whatsoever in kind of accessibility, about the accessible workplace and making sure that everybody has their voice heard and everybody gets the information they want, then I would definitely look up the accessibility bot, because it is completely free. And if you could get that across your whole organization, there'd be a whole load of people that you might not know who have a hearing impairment or have some kind of neurodiversity condition or vision, etc. And you could be helping a whole load of people through that. And then one more I'm just going to show you here is things like, so even if we have a competing product, so obviously we have Dynamics and we also have a competitor, which is Salesforce. But even if you use Salesforce, you can still bring that into Teams. So here, if I go to this Acme tab here, I can see that I will just load up. There you go. So here is loading up Salesforce for me, and I can use Salesforce within my team here and do the things that I need to do, changing information. Or I can do things like, if I go to posts, let's say that I had a conversation, I wanted to start a conversation about something that was in Salesforce. If I hit new, okay, and I'm going to just click the ellipsis here and go to Salesforce. There we go. We can pick a record, and I can click mention. There we go. And then I can say, do you have an update on this? Oops. There we go. And then it just adds some context to the person around that. So that could be Salesforce. It could be, we've got a whole load of examples. So as I mentioned Trello. So we obviously have Planner, but if your company's very, very invested in Trello, you could start using Trello today in Teams and starting to kind of enrich that conversation by combining those two products together. And who knows, maybe over time, you might start to move across to Planner because it's got better integration with the Office 365 suite, and you have one login and all of those kind of great things. But today, you might say, well, actually, I'm going to meet the people where they already work, and use the applications that they know and love. Okay, so that is the first area that I wanted to kind of look at, which was around third-party apps. Obviously, we've also got things like Planner as well. So if you're using Planner for kind of work management, task management, that kind of thing, then you can do that. It's already integrated into Planner. It's going through a change at the moment where it also includes your tasks from To-Do. So if you are using To-Do for task management, if you are putting to-do items in Outlook, if you're flagging items in OneNote, or your set tasks in Planner, these all come together in this hub, this tasks hub that goes onto that left-hand app bar in Teams. So mixture there of third-party and Microsoft apps there. So the next thing I want to show you is kind of app templates. So this is taking it a little bit further. So app templates are free templates that Microsoft have made available to organizations for them to install in their own Azure instances, but to integrate with Teams to kind of make it much more useful. And I would definitely keep, so you can find these at aka.ms/app templates. And we'll just pop an announcement and we'll pop that link into there. But I would keep an eye on this site because we add new apps all the time. And if you look down here on this right-hand side, lots and lots of different apps. So some of the ones that really kind of stand out for me is FAQ Plus. So FAQ Plus is an absolutely great app there. So it allows you to really easily create a frequently asked questions bot. Build up whole knowledge from you might already have those questions available. You might have started to build these up. You might have them on a website and an Excel document or whatever. You can import all of those into the FAQ Plus bot. But then the big question is, what happens if the person doesn't necessarily have the answer? And this is where FAQ Plus is really great, because what you can do is you can say, actually, I don't have the answer, so you can ask an expert. Pop in your question, and it goes off into another team of people who can answer those questions for you, and then they can add the answer back into the FAQ base so that it's ready for the next person. So really powerful app template there. There's some really nice other ones here. There's one here called Icebreaker. So Icebreaker is one of our older app templates, but it's really popular one, because especially when you work in big organizations, and currently in our current situation where lots of people are working from home, you don't get to have those spontaneous meets now. So Icebreaker is you can set the cadence for the matches, but what it will do is it will match two people together, and it'll say it's time for a match. You've been matched with Kelly, and I would just then contact Kelly, and we would have a conversation and whatever. And where I've seen organizations be really successful with this is currently, especially where people are working from home a lot more. They've maybe set the cadence to every 2 weeks, and they've created a topic for each time. So they've said, hey, you're matched up with Kelly this week. The topic is, how do you maintain the balance between home and work when they're both the same thing? So really nice way to use that. There are some other things here which are great. So for instance, there's an app here if you want to control access to your teams, so that people have to request a team and go through a process for approval. There's ones here for visitor management. So rather than having guests just turn up at your office and the front desk don't know who they are, there's a solution here for that. Workplace awards, really nice way to build up within your organization that culture of workplace awards. In this app template, people can nominate people for different awards, and then other people can vote and follow it all through like that. But the last one that I just want to talk about very briefly here is Company Communicator. So Company Communicator allows you to send messages into people's chat feeds here. So really powerful here. So if I go to my teams, and you might have got my corporate communications team, here I can see that I've got this app. It is installed here. So if I wanted to send a message out to the whole company, I might type in a title. Apps are brilliant. If I had an image, I should have prepared for this. Hold on one moment. I shall find an image. And we can type in a summary, type in the author, etc. And then we can target where those go to. So if there's a call to action, so I could say find out more. Okay, and then let's just do one more thing here, and we'll just grab that image there. There it is. Okay, I can go next, and now I can target who that gets sent out to. So I can say certain teams, or I can send it to everyone, or I can send them according to Microsoft 365 groups that already exist here. So no matter what your purpose is, whether you're looking to try and get adoption going for teams, it might be, I'm going to send out a tip of the week to people. If you're doing whole corporate communications, again, this is a really nice way to do that. If you're maybe managing IT service desk, then this might be the way that you send out outages notifications and things like this. So it's all open source, so you can do as you please. If you wanted to change it, you can, and really make the most of it. And it's completely free. The only thing you pay for is the Azure consumption for it sitting in your Azure instance. And again, because it is in your Azure as a company, then you've got complete control over the data. It's not going anywhere else. Perfect. Okay, and the last thing I wanted to show you was really how you can start to use some of the native stuff that's already in Microsoft 365 to really bring this to life. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let me just open a new Teams instance here. So one of the ones that I mentioned was lists. Okay, so the example I'm going to look at today is project management. So let's say that I'm going to create a new team who are going to be my project management office. And in my previous life, I actually was a project manager, so I'm fine saying this. Project managers obviously love a template, they love an Excel spreadsheet, and they love MPP, so they love Microsoft project files. Okay, but the problem is when we put stuff into spreadsheets, they get lost. You know, the information's in there. We can't use that information to do interesting things with it. And one of my own customers had come to me to say that they were having a challenge, that they were recording lessons learned as part of a project at the end, but nobody was actually learning from those lessons learned because the project manager would record them in a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet would be in a file area somewhere, and nobody actually got to see what those lessons learned looked like. So I had a meeting with them this week to kind of look at how they could use lists and Power Automate and Power Apps to be able to bring this to life. So what we can do is, and you could do this right now. So in any of your teams, you could go to lists. Okay, and I'm just going to create a brand new list. Now you might say, well, I already know about SharePoint lists, but lists have had a bit of a makeover. So I'm going to create a list, and you can see actually there's some great templates that are already in place for things that you could do, but I'm going to create my own blank list. Okay, and this is going to be, and let's just say that we wanted one for projects. Okay, there we go. And just to say, actually, as the project management office, we want to be able to kind of create this central list so we can see at a glance what projects we've got. So we might say, we're going to call this project name. Okay, and I'm going to add a new column, which is going to be project code. There it is. Then let's look at a couple of pieces of date information. So we might say start date. Okay, and then due date. And then let's say that we wanted, you know, we might have some gates that you have to go through as an organization to kind of say, actually, what stage in the project life cycle is this in? So let's say that we're going to call this gates, and we're going to have discovery and initiation, planning, execution, and close. Okay, just a couple more here then to go. So let's record who the project manager is. Okay, so we're storing that as a person piece of information. We're going to record who the sponsor is for that project. And then lastly, I'm just going to do one more and say status. And this is going to be red, amber, oops, amber, or green. Okay, and that obviously doesn't make sense because that's not red. So red, amber, and green. And these new formatting options are some of the things that are in the new lists function. So here I can say that I've got my Skype to Teams transition. Its project code is that. Okay. And here's my start date. Here's my due date. It's in execution. I'm the project manager. Lee is the sponsor. And let's say that this is a green project because we're going really well on here. So you can see here that already we've just got like really nicely formatted information that's really accessible for people. But where it gets really interesting then is to say, well, actually, what if at the end of each week or at the start of a new week, what if we sent a digest to the project management office to say, here are all of the red and amber projects? Then you'd have something that looked like this. So this would be great because then we've got our list. We can say, actually, oh, why is that HR Flexi tool gone amber? I want to click on that, and it might take me out to the project site. It might take me to a project report, something like this. So you're bringing the information to the people at the time when they really, really need it. So you can do all of this using Power Automate. So again, so let's make a flow here that says if somebody added a new project, that it sends me a message in Teams and says a new project's been added. Okay, so I'm going to do an automated flow. Okay, and I'm going to say when an item is created in SharePoint, because obviously there's SharePoint behind it.
Hey, Stuart, on that note, question came in. If you create a list in Microsoft Teams, are you able to export it if needed for additional modification if you may not want it in the master version in Teams?
Absolutely. So what we can do is, let me just go back here. So obviously all of this is backed up by SharePoint here. So then I could hit projects, and then I've got a button here, export it to Excel. And then what it will do is it will create an Excel for me, and then it will pull that information in. There we go. It's going to ask me, where do I want to put it? Cool. And it then loads into an Excel. Cool. So let me just jump back. So yes is the short answer there. Okay, so let's just really quickly do this. So for my PMO test project, so when an item is created on that, I want to post a message into Teams. I'm going to stick in post. Okay, post a message. Okay, into my that's into my PMO test team, and I'm just going to stick it into my general one for the moment. So I'm going to say new project created. It's lovely and visual here, so we can make that bold. Okay, and then here we've got all of the information that came out of that. So let's say that we've got the title, okay, and then we're going to say project manager is, there we go, project manager display name. And let's just have one more, which is going to be the due date. So let's just say due date. There we go. And we can do that, and that's ready to go now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to project, and I'm going to add it in here. So again, I'm not leaving Teams here. So I'm going to create a new Power Automate, stick in a project code. Let's stick in our start date, what our due date is. This is in Discovery. We're going to have Miriam, there she is. We're going to have Adele as the sponsor, there she is, and we're going to make it green. Perfect, and we're going to save that. And then just in a moment, it will trigger in the back end, and it'll send a post through into this channel, and I'm going to come back to that in one more moment. Because what I'm going to do is show you really, really quickly, because I'm well aware that I've only got 2 minutes, or maybe even less, is I'm going to show you how we could take that and we could actually make it into an app that we could use on our phones, and we can include in Teams. So what I've got here is Power Apps, and I say I'm going to start from a list. Okay, and Power Apps is going to say to me, what list do you want? So I'm going to go to my PMO test, and I'm going to go to projects. Okay, and then what Power Apps will do in the background is create a 3-screen app for me. So that's a list screen, a view screen, and an edit screen. There we go. And here's my app. So I can add a new project here. I can click on one of these and view it. And I could publish that out straight away and send it out and people will be able to use that on their phones. But what makes it really great is we're going to save that. There we go. We're going to save that project. Brilliant. And then if I go back to my Power Apps, I'm sorry, Kelly, I'm really sorry. There's a button here where this is my new project one that I've got, and it says add to Teams. Okay, I can download an app. It'll take in a moment because it just needs to create it. But then what you can do is then you can upload it into Teams. Now you might have the permissions, you might not, you might need to get someone from admin to do that, but they can upload an app here onto that left-hand app bar so that everybody is able to do that. Or if they're on their phone, it would be on the bottom tray. Thank you ever so much for your time. I am really well aware that I am at the full half hour. I could have probably just talked for another half an hour or an hour or 2 hours, but I do have a fantastic YouTube channel as well if you want to find out more information.
Yeah, do you want to push up that last slide with your...
There we go, perfect, thank you.
All right, perfect. Stuart, thank you so much. We would love to have you as a guest again to continue the conversation. That was extremely insightful. So thank you so much. So again, if you want more of Stuart, check out his YouTube, Stuart Ridout YouTube. You can see the AK link right there. And again, up next, we are going to be, oops, actually there's a little bit of a misprint there. Up next, we're actually going to be talking about apps for first-line workers, not for knowledge workers. Sorry, that was my fault. So please join us next Friday from 12 to 12:30 Eastern. And thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day.